stripes and officially weighing 212 pounds. Since capturing Olympic gold in 1996, he has an excellent record as a professional. In 34 bouts, he has 33 victories, including 29 knockouts, with only one defeat and a world title. Originally from Kazakhstan, now living and fighting out of Scottsdale, Arizona, the former cruiserweight champion of the world, Vassiliy, the Tiger Jirov. And his opponent across the ring, fighting out of the red corner, wearing buffalo blue and officially weighing in at 227 pounds. His professional record is a perfect one, consisting of 28 bouts, 28 victories, including 25 knockouts. Ladies and gentlemen, he's the pride of Buffalo, New York, the undefeated heavyweight, Baby Joe Mesi.
You guys have any questions? We have 10 rounds. Obey my commands. All right? Good luck. Touch gloves now. Let's go to work.
Two meaningful fights, two live underdogs. Let's see if it really does get hotter when the sun goes down in Las Vegas.
For his part, Joe Mesi says, I give Vassiliy Jirov credit for having a heavyweight punch. What he doesn't have is a heavyweight body, and I think I'm going to catch him. Jirov says, what a vacation this will be to be in the heavyweight division after years of struggling to make weight at cruiserweight, and now I'm ready to make some money.
Jim, I'm surprised that it looks like Jirov looks like a real heavyweight. He looks almost equally as big as Mesi.
Even though there's a 15-pound weight differential.
Yeah, but he looks very strong.
Jirov in the southpaw stance. As you'll notice, when he gets inside, he squares his shoulders up and goes to the body, so the southpaw factor is less important once they get in at close quarters. Could be a factor here, though, as, of course, any conventional fighter has to face the difficulty of trying to find other ways to initiate an offense when the jab is sometimes taken away by southpaws. Mesi gets in a right hand and flurries to the body.
If Jirov continues to box in this style that he's boxing right now, he's going to present problems to Mesi unless Mesi catches him with a big punch. He's using his boxing talents that he was very good at in the amateur boxing. And the left-handed style of his, I think, is going to be a problem for Mesi.
In the last round that Jirov fought, he threw 60 jabs, 30 of them in a row.
Well, for his part, Jirov says he made a tactical error against James Toney by going in and fighting with Toney and thinking that ultimately he would wear him down. Looking back, he says, I should have boxed him. If I'd have boxed him, I'd have beaten him.
Yes, he didn't fight a technical fight. He was just fighting a fight, just trying to...
There's a body shot by Jirov. The trademark left to the middle of Joe Mesi's belly. You feel that.
Now we box.
Mesi momentarily lost balance as he reached out to fire the punch. Hard right hand over the top by Jirov.
Jirov is fighting just the perfect fight right now to give Mesi a lot of problems. As Mesi starts coming forward, he's taking that step back just enough to make Mesi lose his balance often.
Counter right hook and a left hand by Jirov. Both of them landed there.
But once again, Jirov takes a little scoot back just enough to help Mesi getting off balance often when he comes in.
Mesi seems mildly surprised that Jirov has elected to fight him out at range, and Joe trying to step in and engage.
You're holding. Box.
That time Mesi lands the left to start. Jirov counters twice. Mesi comes back with some shots of his own. They start to go to war. This is what a lot of people think Jirov shouldn't want to do. And it's always been his instinct to fight, even with all that boxing skill. And now he's getting hit.
Good right hand and Mesi lands. This is going to end up being a slugfest, I think, as it goes on.
And that may not be good for Jirov.
No, but Jirov is a pretty fair puncher, believe it or not. He punches a little better than other people think.
And he takes a great punch.
And he takes a good punch.
Nice. Good deep breath.
There's blood back here in his eye, here.
Don't get hurt. Keep your jab forward with the face and keep pounding shots underneath, okay? Don't rush it. Just be patient. Take your time. Pick your spots, okay? Okay?
Listen, relax. Stick the jab. Stick the jab and work the uppercut to the body, too. Huh? Do the same thing. You gotta do the same thing. You're not doing it. You're trying to reach. You're trying to land one hard punch. I said easy.
HBOBox numbers for round one seem to reveal a highly effective round for Vassiliy Jirov. 24 out of 51, 47%, 12 out of 27 power shots. Statistically, Jirov had a good round. Mesi 15 out of 61, landing a quarter of his punches.
Mesi's going to have to try to be a little bit more physical in this fight because fighting technically, I think Jirov is too experienced for him.
Jirov landing a four-punch combination there. Quicker off the draw than Mesi. Mesi reaching with the right hand. Now he gets in a good, solid right hand shot and comes back to the body.
Mesi's going to have to continue fighting that way. He cannot back trying to figure out and anticipate.
Mesi catches Jirov against the ropes with the right hand. And you saw there that Vassiliy, as Larry and Emmanuel have both pointed out, takes a good shot.
You know, the woods are full of heavyweights who can punch hard, but heavyweights who can take a punch are an endangered species.
Left-hand lead lands for Jirov in the middle of the ring, and he drives Mesi back into the ropes with another flurry of punches. Mesi finds a gap and throws a right hand.
It's turning out to be a good fight. I don't think it's going to go to limit.
Good left to the body by Mesi. I don't see how it could possibly go to limit with all this contact.
No, they're going for the knockout.
Both guys are finding opportunities to land. There's a real good left inside by Vassiliy Jirov. Mesi trying to jab Jirov off of him and now clocks him with the right hand again. Jirov keeps coming.
Stop!
Left over the top by Vassiliy.
That's almost relief. You gotta bring that up.
He misses the
Keep
right.
your head back.
Jay Nady warns Joe Mesi about punching low.
Another good right hand by Mesi.
Yeah, Mesi's coming on pretty strong tonight. Punching with a lot of power. Seems like he's in good condition to us compared to his last fight.
Jab is good, Joe.
That left, or that right hand partially blocked by Jirov's left. Jirov misses over the top. Now Mesi with a little left hook inside. Hard right hand to the body. Mesi starting to land more frequently.
And if you notice, Jirov was making him miss earlier in the first round by taking a half a step back. He's not doing that effectively now, so Mesi is starting to get to him a lot better now.
Jirov's natural instinct to go to war has put him in harm's way, and Mesi is taking advantage of it. Jirov not throwing as much now as he tends to get hit more by Joe Mesi. So the second round turns in Mesi's favor after Jirov outboxed him in the first.
I thought Mesi fought a very good fight that second round. He pushed the fight, and for whatever reason, Jirov is forgetting his boxing skills and then beginning to get back in the same type of war that he did when he fought James Toney.
Let's see if trainer Thel Torrance can persuade Jirov to go back to what he did in round one.
Okay. Box the guy. You got 10 rounds to go. Just box the guy. You beat him up. You hurt him with your body on all the counters, but I want you to keep your head moving. Keep hands in a run. Just box him. Give me a couple rounds. Yeah, no rush. Just give me a couple rounds, okay? You don't have to be in a worry. You hurt him every time you hit him, but I want you to box him. Yeah, okay. You got 10 rounds to go. Don't worry about trying to get this guy, yeah? Okay?
Most conventional fighters try to hit southpaws with right hands like that. Later they exchange punches. A right by Jirov and a right by Mesi.
In round 2, Joe Mesi was able to get off 78 punches against the free-flowing Vassiliy Jirov. That's part of why Phil Torrance said, please go back to boxing. Jirov, very accurate, 20 out of 45. But if Mesi's going to get off that much more often, then his power may begin to be the bigger factor.
I think it's going to be a bigger factor unless Jirov gets back to boxing and maintains his distance.
You heard Torrance use the word box 3 times, trying to get the message across. Now, Jirov goes back to firing the jab.
The right jab is a very effective punch. If he continues to use the right jab, it's going to get Mesi all off balance and uncoordinated. But once he stops, he stands right there. He's wide open to get hit. And even though he's a heavyweight, I don't know if he's used to being hit by another heavyweight.
Mesi leading with a straight right hand.
It's clear to me, at least, that Mesi has quicker hands. He's a little bit more athletic in there. But he's facing a really experienced, tough guy. They call him Baby Joe, but he'll be a man if he comes out of this hole.
He's doing a good job of throwing the right hand straight down the pipe. Gives him the best chance to land it against the southpaw.
He's doing a good job right now. He's getting closing that gap slowly. He's getting closer and closer with his punches. Before the first round, he was way off balance after he finished up his punches. Now he's a lot closer.
Jirov has gone back to using his feet a little bit more in this round. That slows down Mesi's offensive output. Joe goes back to the right-hand lead. Body shots by Mesi, moving Jirov backward.
But Jirov has never countered and taken advantage. He pulls back sometime, but he very seldom counter punches out.
There he tried to counter with the right hand. Yeah. Missed as Mesi came in.
Yeah, that's why Mesi's shooting more and committing himself more, because he's not being made to pay after he misses his punches. Just like
another
right there.
Straight right hand by Mesi, unobstructed. We are in Las Vegas, where on the first of 2 fights you'll see on World Championship Boxing this evening, Baby Joe Mesi in the blue trunks is trying to make further progress in his quest for heavyweight contendership against recently turned heavyweight former cruiserweight champ Vassiliy Jirov in the tiger striped trunks. Jirov used to be nicknamed the Russian Tiger, but he wants everybody to know he's from Scottsdale, Arizona. Mesi lands a right and a little left hook inside.
Now we box.
Body shot by Jirov. Mesi with another little left hook. Hasn't really gotten extension on the left hook. Jirov to the body. Mesi just misses with a big left hook and pops Jirov with a straight right hand as he comes in. As the 2 heavyweights complete round 3, Sugar Shane Mosley waits in his dressing room for his assignment, trying to unify the 154-pound world champion, or championship, I should say, against fellow titleist Winky Wright. Sugar Shane hoping to solidify the progress he made with his giant victory over Oscar De La Hoya last September.
Listen, relax. Deep breathe, Joe. Deep breathe. That's the game here now. Are you for your arm? Good. Right? So why you know you should jab like the way? You listen, he's tired already too, right? Listen, he's tired. He's tired. Listen, he's right there. He's slowed down already. Now you should jab. You know, more like we practice at the gym. Jab here, jab here, jab here. En la derecha, el gancho de derecha. Vamos a usarlo. O percude de 45. You try to throw it right hand.
Watch your ball. Give me a box.
So,
Emmanuel, Joe Mesi's trainer is Juan De Leon, brother of the former light heavyweight star Carlos Sugar De Leon. He's working in Buffalo, New York, where there is no overpopulation of contenders. We haven't seen him at the big-time level of boxing before. Is Mesi well-trained?
I think he looks very good for this fight. And it was interesting. He was speaking to him in Spanish also. Maybe Joe could speak Spanish a little bit. But I think he's fighting a very focused and determined fight, this fight. And in fact, I'll be honest, I'm surprised that he's fighting as sharp as he is with his punches. But I think the weight reduction is reflective of his condition for this fight, and the fact that he trained outside of Buffalo for the first time.
He was in Las Vegas for a month.
Harold, how do you have it through 3?
Okay, Jim. 2 rounds to 1, 29-28, baby Joe Mesi. I gotta tell you something, Jim. When you get a fight like this with two big heavyweights standing in the middle of the ring wailing on each other, really, you don't go to the 4 criteria. At the end of the round, you say to yourself, who hurt the other guy more than the other guy hurt him? And that's how you score this fight. Mesi got hurt more in the first round. Jirov certainly got hurt more in rounds 2 and 3. 2-1, Mesi.
You know, Mesi looked uncomfortable in round 1, as though he wasn't quite sure what he was dealing with Jirov, but he got off nearly 80 punches in round 2, 65 in round 3, and now looks as though he's way into his comfort zone here in round 4.
Yeah, it seems to be getting his distance a lot better now. You know, remember, he didn't have many amateur fights, particularly compared to Jirov, who had a lot of amateur fights on the top level.
Jirov was the Val Barker Trophy winner as the outstanding boxer in the 1996 Olympic Games in Atlanta. Joe Mesi almost made it to those Olympics, but was beaten in the American box-offs for the heavyweight spot by Lawrence Claybay. There's a good right hand by Mesi.
Mesi seems to have gotten comfortable with the southpaw style now. The first round he was very uncomfortable.
There's a good left hand, stuns Jirov as Mesi landed it up and under.
Head movement, feint.
And another right hand lands flush against Jirov's face.
Jirov is not stepping back like he was earlier. He's just standing there trying to anticipate the punches. And as a result, Mesi's having a lot more success now.
Jirov taking too many flush punches from a bigger heavyweight at this moment. Trying to fight fire with fire, he steps in rather than to go back to boxing. Body shot by Jirov.
Come on, 30 seconds. Come on, right.
Jirov over the top, and Mesi with the 1-2, and now a body chop and a left hook that knocks Jirov back. Straight hand lands again. I think he stunned Jirov with that body shot.
No, he stepped on his feet. When they stepped, he actually stepped on his feet. What happens after with a southpaw?
And there Jirov lands the right hand that knocks Mesi back. Good counter shot by Vassiliy Jirov. Joe Mesi stunned.
This has turned out to be a tremendous fight.
Ebb and flow, shifting tides of fortune. Two heavyweights looking for a knockout.
Beautiful. Don't lose your head. Beautiful.
All right, give me a deep breath.
He's ready to go. You heard him a couple of times.
Give me one more deep breath. Okay. No, show it. Listen, when you move here, I want you to keep the hands up, okay? Keep your hands up. Every once in a while, he's trying to steal with that right hand. Okay, I want you to keep it up. I want you to stay loose. Keep your feints going. I want your feints going. Every time.
That's what we do. Look at the champ here looking for you. Look at the champ. Look at the champ, what I said to you. Look at the champ, I said to you.
the body.
You see what I said?
He's down.
Mesi again going to work with his straight right, but this time coming back up with a left. Now watch as he steps on his foot. Not an infrequent occurrence when a conventional fighter fights the southpaw at close quarters.
In round 4, Joe Mesi again got off more than 70 punches, landing 24. Jirov only able to get off 38. With each passing round, Mesi's punch output is more and more distant from that of Jirov, who's dropping a little bit. There's the left hand that Jirov uses to try to keep Mesi off of him.
Jirov trying to anticipate when Mesi moves in and stop him with that right jab.
That's his best weapon.
Stop!
You know, we were saying that he was a good amateur boxer, Emmanuel, but he's been successful as a pro, as a tough, stalking inside fighter, wearing his opponents down.
Yeah.
He's trying to fight his first heavyweight fight in a way that he hasn't fought in a long time.
And with a lot more weight, too. But the thing about it, in his cruiserweight fights, most of his best punch to me was always his body punch. Tremendous body punch. And
well, but that's what I mean.
Yeah,
He's given up on that.
yes,
And maybe because he's felt some of Mesi's power and he doesn't want to be in there.
Well, exactly. If he continues to commit to the body, as he did as a cruiserweight, he's going to be leaving his head open frequently for Mesi to hit it. And he feels as though he can't afford to do it. So that's blunting some of what Jirov has depended on for the bread and butter of his offense in the past. They trade body shots inside.
Stop! Break.
And again, Mesi seemed to be doing the heavier damage.
Stop! Get back. Don't hold, guys.
Another flurry by Mesi, lands a big left hook. Second left hook, right to the body. Third big left hook upstairs. Jirov getting tattooed by power punches. Mesi, 2 right hands to the body. Uppercut misses. Jirov trying to fight back with the left.
Jirov is trying to be James Toney to Mesi's Jirov here.
Yeah. Jirov landed a big right hand upstairs. Mesi seems unflustered.
All of those power shots.
Solid punches.
Yeah, nobody was really hurt, though, believe it or not. Now you have to worry about Mesi running out of gas himself, doing what Jirov did with Tony.
Well, I think Jirov, to a degree, is depending on that. He's hoping that what he saw in the Monty Barrett fight mean that he'll wind down.
Mesi. Up and under. He's finding 3 or 4 different angles for that straight right hand, and right now they're working. Left hook lands again for Mesi, and another big right hand up and under to punctuate the round. That was a huge round for Baby Joe Mesi.
Big round for Joe Mesi.
He's taking that attack from you. You gotta be first. You gotta be first. You be second here. Second is not gonna be good for you. All right? You land the southpaw shot, but if you first, you land it twice, and then you hard it to the body, and you don't get back to the body, Papi. Why you gotta go back to the body?
That's it. Breathe, baby. Breathe. Keep breathing. Deep breaths, Vassiliy. Deep breaths. Yeah. What are you supposed to do when he's coming in?
Okay. Look.
I got it.
Vassiliy.
Jirov looks especially tired for this early in the fight for him, but he hangs in there, stays in there, and lands some clean punches. You know, sometimes if you wait for your opponent to get tired, you're sitting in the dressing room after the fight with a defeat.
Yeah, well, you know, and the thing about it, too, when both of these guys are landing a pretty good percentage of their punches, too, is not where guys are just swinging and missing, whereas when fighting James Toney gets in those angles where you're punching, but you're not really hitting him clean.
Jirov starts the round 6 with a right hand over the top that lands on Mesi. CompuBox numbers for the 5th round imposing for Mesi, 30 out of 88. Both of those numbers his high for the fight so far. Left hook lands inside again for Mesi. Jirov only got off 33 punches by CompuBox count in the 5th round. His punch count has been dropping throughout the fight. Hard right hand over the top by Jirov. Mesi comes back with 2 shots of his own and then complains to referee Jay Nady about a butt.
And there's a cut over the right eye of Jirov on that accidental cut.
But
sorry, accidental butt.
And it's bleeding heavily, and Dr. Margaret Goodman is going to take a look.
Okay.
Nevada State Athletic Commission Executive Director Mark Ratner holding up a card that said accidental headbutt so that everybody at ringside knows the score. Jirov still bleeding around the right eye as Mesi tries to go to work on it. Wide punches with the right and the left. Sometimes he's throwing it straight up the middle. Sometimes he's sweeping. Most of them are landing.
You know, once again, headbutts, not unusual between fighters going at each other, one conventional and one southpaw.
Mesi seems to have gotten his rhythm and his balance and timing very much down pat now as the fight is progressing. The southpaw style has not bothered him at all, though.
Indeed, the 88 punches that Mesi got off in the last round, the most ever thrown against Jirov in a single round in any fight tracked by CompuBox.
Yeah, he's not only being effective, but he's actually outworking Jirov, which is very unusual for a fighter.
Not what anyone expected.
No.
But the difficulty of getting off a lot of punches rises when your opponent has power. And that's probably the primary reason that Jirov just hasn't been able to throw as many tonight.
No, he has not. And, you know, I don't know, maybe the weight may have affected him a little bit, too. Even though he looks good at it, maybe it's slowed him down just a little bit.
Mesi lands a hard right hand. Jirov, unaffected, comes back with a left. Mouthpiece falls out of Jirov's mouth.
No, it came out of
Mesi's
Mesi's mouth.
mouthpiece. Jirov looking at Jay Nady to say, not my mouthpiece.
No talking.
It's the other guy. Right hand by Jirov.
Watch your head.
Left hand by Jirov lands on the back of Mesi's head. Mesi with another right hand straight up the middle onto Jirov's chin. Mesi changing speeds on the jab.
Mesi's punching much shorter and straighter punches than he was early in the beginning of the fight. Whereas Jirov's punches are more of a loop. And that's been a big factor as the fight goes on, the shorter distance of his punches.
Jirov's going to need some serious cut work in the corner between rounds. The cut is above the eyelid, seemingly just under the eyebrow, and that's the point from which the blood can blind the fighter. Mesi's taking advantage, throwing a lot of heavy shots. The cut man in Vassiliy Jirov's corner is James Isperdouli.
Don't worry about the cut.
Phil Lawrence has done some cut work himself, but he's allowing Isperdouli to do all the work here.
Clean him up in the face.
Once again, conventional fighter, Mesi, southpaw. Jirov comes in and they bump heads. The fight is far along now that if it had to be stopped because of that cut, the decision would go to the scorecards.
Yeah. Don't move, don't move.
Okay. You hear what I'm saying? Yeah. You got to get going. Use your jab.
Emmanuel, give us your evaluation on the cut.
I don't think it's a fairly serious cut. I think they use good proactive. It looks like it's going to be stopped. From what I can gather right now. Looks like they're good on the 1/1000 is what they're using.
Jirov has been told in the corner, you got to get going. So we may see a more aggressive Jirov here and see how Mesi can respond.
Harold, how do you have it through 6?
Okay, Jim. 59-55, 5 rounds to 1. Baby Joe Mesi. I got to win him basically because of that right hand. Jim, the accidental headbutt rule is this. If the fight goes beyond 4 rounds, okay, and that cut is made worse by clean, effective punches, we go to the scorecards, just like Larry said, whoever's ahead on the scorecard wins the fight. Now, here's the kicker. If the fight gets stopped in the middle of the round, they score the partial round.
Round 7 out of a scheduled 10. Mesi threw 85 punches in the 6th round after having thrown 88 in the preceding round. And Jirov, according to CompuBox numbers, only threw 22. So the fight has become one-sided in terms of offensive output for the time being. Mesi suddenly turns to a southpaw stance. Jirov misses him wildly. Now Jirov comes back and hits him to the body, and Mesi returns body punches of his own. Straight right hand lands for Mesi. And again, and the left hook, and the right. And another left hook. Stop! Jirov not doing enough to defend himself against Mesi's straight shots.
Mesi is much more accurate with his punches.
Another hard right hand.
Yes. Both guys are very determined, but I think that Mesi seems to be a little bit sharper. It seems to be extremely focused in this fight. I think the criticism he probably got from the Monty Barrett fight has really motivated him a lot. And in the fact that he left town, trains different, knowing that he was fighting a guy more experienced and a southpaw.
First fight in Las Vegas.
That's a big factor, too. Especially when everything he's did has been in his hometown where he was like the star.
Possibility of setting up a huge fight in Orchard Park in Buffalo this summer. There's even some talk of trying to attract Mike Tyson as the opponent for that fight.
Well, I've been very impressed with him tonight, even though he's gotten hit a little bit tonight. But overall, it seems like his focus and determination and concentration is very good tonight.
And he's completely taken over the fight in the last 3 rounds. And Jirov has taken a lot of punishment for a 212-pound guy in his first heavyweight fight. And if you're Thel Torrance, trainer of Vassiliy Jirov, I think you have to be looking at this carefully and wondering, what can I do to try to get my fighter into some different rift so that he's not taking all this punishment?
I think Jirov, if he would just work his right jab and box at a distance, he would be much better off. But the fight is fighting just the way that Mesi would like it to be right now, right at the same distance and everything.
After the first round in which Jirov outboxed Mesi, Mesi was able to impose his will on Jirov and make this thing into a slugfest which favors his power.
That's not a problem. Clean up his face.
March 16, catch this month's Real Sports with Bryant Gumbel. Among the stories, a look at one of the biggest basketball scandals of 2003 at perhaps the least likely of places, St. Bonaventure University, a tiny religious school in upstate New York, founded by monks.
Box the guy a little bit front, okay? Box him. Okay.
Hold your head up. Hold your head up.
When you get the punches off, you got to get 2 or 3 shots in a row. Okay?
Hold your head up.
Okay. And come out with your hands up. Okay. Okay? Okay. The guy's trying to build some confidence up. I don't want him to build the confidence back. Okay?
Hold. Where's the hook? You got it? Come on.
Come on, Bobby. Come on, Bobby. I love you, Bobby.
You know, a lot of people say, well, Joe Mesi is fighting a cruiserweight who's bulked up. I would remind everyone that 3 of the top-ranked heavyweights in the world, Jones, Bird, and Tony, all were former middleweights. That 2 of the champions of the 90s, Holyfield and Moore, were former light heavyweights and cruiserweights. Guys of this size have done very well against big men.
Is it possible, Emmanuel, that James Toney took too much out of Vassiliy Jirov in their fight last summer for Jirov to ever be at his best again?
It could very well be, but even the fights lead into that. You know, Jirov was getting hurt in the fights when he fought Letterlow. Also, even though he won the fight, I see was hurt in that fight. And sometimes too many amateur fights can have their effect. You know, maybe he's had 200-300 amateur fights, and there's just so many miles you got on the car.
And has never fought in a self-protective style.
That's correct.
Hard right hand again by Mesi, stuns Jirov.
I'm very impressed with Joe Mesi tonight. And I think this is really the homecoming fight for him. He's looking very good against a good, experienced fighter. And he's taking some good punches tonight, too.
Taking some very good shots.
Yeah.
He's totally unmoved by them, and now just really brutally beating up a pretty good fighter.
But his mental concentration is so good right now. His stamina to be able to think. And it's not just a case of Mesi being a natural heavyweight beating a cruiserweight. I mean, he's beating him on skill and techniques, not so much just using physical strength.
Hard right hand by Jirov. Every once in a while, he lands a big shot, but Mesi lands many more. He's basically tripled Jirov in connected punches in the past few rounds.
Watch your head, Vassiliy.
Landing 3 for every one that Jirov gets in.
Watch your head.
Jirov across the top. Mesi coming back inside. Both fighters look a little tired as they come down the stretch in the 8th. But when you're winning, you're not as tired as when you're getting beaten up.
You see, even though he's tired, Mesi's throwing little short punches, which he can get away with more effective than the looping shots the way that Jirov is shooting his.
Jirov trying to land one big left-hand shot off the ropes to change the general momentum of what's going on here. But among the many things Mesi has shown here tonight, as Larry and Emmanuel pointed out, ability to take a punch. And now he's just brutally roughing up Jirov in the corner.
And Jirov is using the ropes, which is definitely not standard for him being a European fighter, to support himself because he's tired right now.
Jirov looks like a beaten fighter as he walks back to his corner.
2 rounds to go in this one, and in the meantime, Ronald Winky Wright waits in his dressing room for the biggest assignment of his prize-fighting life. He's waited a long time for a fight against a superstar marquee opponent. He's got it tonight. More than 2 years ago, he turned down a fight against Shane Mosley because at that time, he didn't like the price. This time, the opportunity was too good to pass up.
And he took less money than he was offered 2 years ago.
Money isn't everything.
I think he's became more realistic than he was 2 years ago.
At that time, Shane Mosley was considered unbeatable. It was before Vernon Forrest fought him.
And a lot of people are comparing Winky Wright to Vernon Forrest because, like Forrest, he's longer and maybe stronger than Mosley.
And Walter, when you have a guy who's a talented fighter who's been neglected and bypassed, and he finally gets his, in this case, his second opportunity he's going to try to seize the moment.
But he's going against a great offensive fighter in Shane Mosley. I can't wait. Round 9 of Joe Mesi versus Vassiliy Jirov. The outcome seems a foregone conclusion unless Jirov can land the big shot and get Mesi in trouble. Big question is, will they finish the fight?
Jirov is now in the position where he's trying to set something up in the hopes of landing one big punch. Hoping that Mesi keeps coming at him.
Well, Jirov has never given up in the fight. Sometimes you see a guy get disgusted and give up. He's never given up. He's still looking for that win, and he still can punch. But Mesi is throwing those short punches, whereas Jirov's punches has to have such a loop to him, and therefore he's not as effective.
I think it's actually been tremendous for Mesi that the fight has gone rounds. You can see his confidence going up with every round.
Good punch. That was a punch.
Best punch of the fight.
Big left hand by Jirov.
Mesi comes right back at him.
Didn't hurt Joe. 3 right hands by Jirov. Mesi with a left to the body.
But Jirov never really tried to take advantage of that after he had hurt him. He actually ended up letting Mesi come back and take advantage of the situation and become the aggressor.
I'm not sure he thought he had hurt him. I think he may have understood by this point that Mesi can take his punch.
Good point. Mesi can sit right now and probably look and see that Jirov is loading up on punches, but I think he just relaxed himself to them. I think he's gotten comfortable to the point where he's getting hit with punches he normally wouldn't be getting hit with.
And unlike the middle rounds against Barrett, where Mesi seemed to search a little too hard for the knockout, here he's just continued to fight, continued to roll up the punishment, and hasn't started to try to load up.
No, he hasn't tried to load up. But you still got to watch out for those punches from Jirov, because Jirov did something he hadn't been doing earlier. Shot a left hook type cross.
And down goes Mesi on a right hand across the top after the perfect left shot.
But it's more of a body type, the way he hit it and pushed him down. That happens often with standard fighters and southpaws when one guy catches on the side of the head. I don't think it was hurt as much as it was the balance.
Second fight in a row in which Mesi has gone to the canvas. It was in the 7th round against Barrett. He's decided not to protect, rather than fight here.
Oh, one more minute. One more minute.
Till the end of the round.
It's going to be an exciting 10th round.
Joe, the fight's close. This one is the one we gotta worry.
Now, early in the round, he landed this left hand right on the jaw. Mesi didn't seem to bother Mesi because he saw the punch coming and he was on balance. Later, after he missed the punch and was a little bit off balance, that right hand on the top of the head.
And his body was already in a contorted position at the time, so it was a balance
Behind the head.
Very similar to the knockdown against Barrett when he was caught by a little left hook inside, also while off balance after having thrown a punch.
But he wasn't hurt. It's a 2-point round, though, even though he
commits
wasn't
so
hurt.
much to his punches. Now his father's telling him in the corner, Jack Mesi saying, Joe, it's a close fight.
Well, it's going to be a very exciting last round.
Well, on my scorecard, Jirov still needs a knockout to win the fight.
I think that's probably true on Harold Letterman's scorecard as well, and you can see that it is. Letterman still with a 4-point margin between Mesi and Jirov. But the Jirov fortunes momentarily alive after he knocked Mesi down in the 9th.
Stop! Rick, step back. Step back, please. Now back.
That's the same shot again. He's
2
hurt.
punches and Mesi was buckled.
Mesi's hurt now.
And Mesi badly hurt now as Jirov goes to the body.
He's hurt.
That's the Jirov stock and trade, punishing Mesi to the body.
He's hurt. The body.
Mesi in big trouble now as he tries to finish a fight where he appears to be ahead on the scorecard.
Right.
Jirov goes to the body and lands a tremendous uppercut shot, and Mesi goes down.
Now it's a battle for survival.
Mesi should hold on now, regardless of what the crowd does. Hold on, even if he has to pull him down to the floor.
It hasn't been his instinct up to this point. Every time he's been hurt in the fight up to this point, Joe Mesi has decided to fight back harder, as he did in the last round.
The body punch is what he's still hurt. You can still see he's very hurt.
Well, you have to give all credit to Jirov, who looked beaten just a few rounds ago. Hangs in there, stays in there.
And Mesi still wants to fight his way out of this. That's what Vladimir Klitschko tried to do last February against Story Sanders and paid a big price for it. Momentary stoppage there.
Mesi is fully aware of what's going on, I can tell you that.
Takes a hard shot, almost went down, managed to keep his balance. Mesi not holding, not delaying, still trying to fight his way out of it. And giving Jirov opportunities as a result. Body shots by Mesi. Hard right hand by Mesi. Jirov continues to trade and hits him with a left and a right, and Mesi's down again. There's no 3 knockdown rule in the fight.
He's got 1 minute. He could still win the fight if he can survive for another minute.
It's a 10-7 round if he can't do something to reverse the scoring in this round.
If he would hold on, he cannot back up and try to see the punches. He can't see that good. Right now, he's making a big mistake. He should be holding.
Vassiliy Jirov seemed to be pretty badly beaten up after 8 rounds. In the 9th round, when Joe Mesi was throwing 91 punches, Jirov landed a couple of shots and knocked Mesi down. Now he's doggone near knocked him out in the 10th. Mesi's been down twice. 25 seconds to go as Mesi tries to finish the fight, trying to hold on to his unbeaten record.
Now he's doing the right thing. Hold on.
That should have happened 2.5 minutes ago.
But he's still in danger of getting hit with a big clean punch at that distance where he's at now. Should hold on.
Jirov, here's the 10-second clapper.
Hold on.
You can't be saved by the bell. Mesi intelligently holds and makes it to the finish line. Now, what will the scorecard show?
Well, my scorecard shows Mesi winning by a point. If he gets the decision, you're going to have an unhappy crowd. But when you win so many rounds in a row, that's boxing. It's not an alley fight where who finishes strongest wins the fight.
Harold Letterman's card is also going to show Vassiliy Jirov still the winner in the fight by a single point. The judges here are Dwayne Ford, Bill Graham, and Jerry Roth. All of them longtime Las Vegas veteran judges. All of them have seen fights like this before.
Great exciting fight.
Here's action from the 10th round. There's the right hand by Jirov that started all of the trouble for Mesi in the 10th. Now here's knockdown number 1. Uppercut. As Mesi held his right, Jirov popped him with a left uppercut and then was able to put Joe down. Right there. So that was knockdown number 1 of 2 in the round, of 3 in the last 2 rounds. Here the second knockdown in the 10th. Well, Joe Mesi said it himself in our meeting yesterday, Emmanuel. He said, I'll give Vassiliy Jirov credit. He punches like a heavyweight. Mesi didn't respect Jirov enough toward the end of the fight to still believe that he punched like a heavyweight.
Yeah, he got comfortable after winning the fight in the mid-rounds. He was coming on pretty good. He got very comfortable.
Harold, how do you have it scored?
Okay, Jim. Did Vassiliy Jirov run out of rounds? 94-93. 7 rounds to 3, baby Joe Mesi. You know, you get a point for knocking a guy off his feet once, so it's a 10-8 round in the 9th for Jirov. You get 2 points for knocking him off his feet twice. It's a 10-7 round in round 10. Did Vassiliy Jirov pull out any of the middle rounds? That's the question.
Michael Buffer is about to dispel the suspense and tell us who won.
Ladies and gentlemen, here at the Mandalay Bay, after 10 great heavyweight rounds, a round of applause for Vassiliy Jirov and baby Joe Mesi. We go to the scorecards. All 3 judges scored about the same, 94-93. That's Jerry Roth, Bill Graham, and Dwayne Ford. for the winner by unanimous decision, and still undefeated from Buffalo, New York, Baby Joe Mesi.
How about that? Larry Merchant, Harold Letterman, Dwayne Ford, Bill Graham, and Gary Roth all had the same score, 94-93 Mesi. Crowd boos, but if they had been scoring round by round, I'd be hard-pressed to imagine how they would have come up with a different score, because the rounds Mesi won, he won by a landslide, going away. Final CompuBox numbers, and that too will be a Mesi landslide, as Jirov really only got his offense going in 3 rounds of the fight, the 1st, the 9th, and the 10th, and even in the 9th, he was swamped in CompuBox numbers. Power shots, again, Mesi will have the edge, but notice, Jirov landed 46% of his total power punches.
Yes, sir.
That tells us that at least against the southpaw, Joe Mesi was simply too open against hard shots, even while he was winning rounds. Larry Merchant stands by with the winner, the badly roughed up Baby Joe Mesi.
Thank you very much, Jim. Congratulations, Joe. You were ahead of him by a wide margin. Why were you going after him in the 9th round, leaving yourself open to a big punch?
I really didn't know that I was ahead by a wide margin. Had I knew that, maybe I would have taken a different approach. I was surprised that I couldn't get him out of there. I think I wanted to. With a little inexperience, I did want to get him out of there.
So you felt you wanted to close the show in some kind of dramatic style, and you walked into something.
Yeah, I feel that maybe partially due to some inexperience, that's the case. You know, I've been ending a lot of my fights, and I feel maybe I'm still at the level where if I feel I don't end it, I didn't do a good job. But I will learn from this.
How badly were you hurt in the 9th and 10th rounds?
I was hurt. Not terribly, but yeah, he affected me.
All right, let's take a look at the 10th round, and you describe what was happening here. Were you dazed going into the 10th round?
No, not really, but that uppercut certainly helped right there. All these punches had an effect on me.
Did he look like a beaten man to you earlier, a few rounds earlier?
He did. He did look like a little bit of a beaten man, but I think due to his experience, he was able to survive and, you know, keep the pressure on late.
Was this a question of your fatigue, or were you in good enough condition tonight as opposed to 3 months ago that you were able to survive this?
I was in better condition, but we're fighting a much more experienced foe here in Jirov. You know, pretty much at this level, everyone I face is more experienced than me. I don't have all that much experience. So in the later rounds like this, I could get affected.
Does that mean that you don't think you're yet ready to take on a top opponent? Does it mean you might want a rematch with Jirov?
No, I don't think I would need a rematch. Yeah, I think I proved my point here. I don't think he, you know, got to me with a close enough margin. You know, I'm still learning, but I'm willing to move up the ladder.
So you're willing to fight one of the top guys, even though you claim you still are inexperienced?
I am. You know, Jirov's style causes a lot of problems too. So I think with a, you know, with a different style in front of me, I could do much better.
Are you satisfied with the way the whole night went?
I'm satisfied. I gained a lot of experience from this.
Thank you very much, and again, congratulations, Joe. Jim?
All right, thank you very much, Larry. Emmanuel Stewart, the question was and is, who are going to be the contenders for the Lennox Lewis heavyweight crown now in the wake of Lewis's retirement? Among these two guys, or between these two guys, whose stock rises and whose stock falls?
What a great dramatic finish. I love the finish to the fight. I think both guys gave great credible accounts for themselves. I was impressed with both of them tonight. As I said, Jirov had the experience. He never did in his mind give up in that fight. You could see, even though he was being beaten, he was still looking to try to win the fight, and that's what made it such a great finish. I was impressed with Mesi, too. Defense is still a little leaky. The punch that caused most of his problem was the right hook on the side, which is, southpaws are very effective with hitting people with that punch. But I still think it was just a fight of experience came through and made it a good close fight. But both of these guys have a few problems still in order to be fighting the top guys.
Yeah, you mentioned that Jirov's defense, or excuse me, Mesi's defense is leaky, but a lot of guys' defenses have been leaky against Jirov. We might have forgotten that in the middle part of the fight when he was taking so much punishment, but a guy like that doesn't go away.
No, but still, you got a few other good heavyweights. You still got Vladimir Klitschko, I just say Vitalis, as most people assume after the great fight with Lennox, and he's like the #1 guy to take over the crown. But you still have Vladimir Klitschko. You got Dominic Guillen, who I'm very impressed with, and Aldi Harrison. I think he's coming on, a very good prospect. So it's going to always be a new heavyweight to come up out of the ashes, so to say.
All right, let's turn our attention away from the heavyweights now. We'll get ready for the main event in just a moment. Right now.